Pulse of the people, we got the Clemson Tigers on deck. Pulse of the people, we do a chem check of the fan base. This time we got the Clemson Tigers. So right now, I think there's like two sides of the fan base for Clemson. And best way for me to kind of sum it up is, let's pretend you and your buddy are walking to the ocean and you're trying to figure out if you're going to get in and you're going to have a great day, or like, it's not for you. Like, oh, okay, the temperature is warm, it's beautiful, let's go in, dive head first, let's rock. Or the other side, your other buddy is getting ready to dip your toes in, and it's like, I'm not sure, it's a little cold, or they don't know, there's sharks out there, I'm not sure if I trust it. So there's two sides of the fan base. They're going in a little bit different directions. However, both of them are very united because, like, when your buddy gets out of the water and he comes back, you're smashing beers and throwing the pigskin around the beach. So they're both united, but there's a little bit of a split. And so let's go into like what these different fan bases are. So we got, like, let's on one side we have the Dabo loyalists, and these are the fans that have full trust in Dabo. He knows what's best for the program. We trust him. We trust him to put us in the best position to win. He's been our guy for over a decade. He's brought us national championships, all this success. Like, he's our guy. He's created a rock solid culture. Every year big time players come back for their fifth year and the sixth year, and hopes to win an ACC title, compete for a national title. Like, he's built a rock solid culture around there. They're also, part of that is, hey, Dabo's been right all along about NIL. He was early to the game. He said that NIL is going to cause a little bit of problems, and it's, should be regulated, and it will get out of control. I think a common misconception is people think that Dabo was like very, very anti the players getting money, which really never was the case. He just thought, with the structure that it was, or when it first got introduced, that it could cause a lot of problems, and he was right. So there's that side of, like, these fan bases kind of like getting to eat their cake too, and being like, hey, Dabo told you, he was early to the game on this. you know Also, it looks like recruiting has hit another gear. Their 2025 class, while early right now, it looks great. And it could be even better if they get David Sanders, a number two player overall in the country, number one tackle. Maybe Dabo's stance on the transfer portal is actually looking like a little more attractive. Maybe it's aging well. Maybe kids are like, look, if I go to one of these other schools, I'm not guaranteed I'm going to be playing because they can go, pull somebody else from another school and just take my spot. And what I've been working for the past couple of years is just going to be diminished by some guy that they're going to pull out of the portal. So maybe that is becoming a little bit more attractive to Clemson. Maybe those kids are kind of catching on to what the transfer portal really is in its current state. And, on top of that, they still have a solid roster. So great. I think we're rock solid here. The other side is a touch of skepticism. They still have belief and love for the Clemson Tigers, but it's a new age. There's maybe a little bit of skepticism for what's going on in the program. The transfer portal came again. No one hopped in. They'd got no additions. There were some offers, but Clemson never closed the deal with these guys. So no additions to the transfer portal. When it looked like last year, like maybe a couple of pieces that they added from the portal could have done great. They suffered their first four-loss season in over a decade and really have made no changes. Cade has not been the guy that we thought that he was going to be. Obviously, five-star guy out of Texas, a lot of hype. Really, so far, just hasn't really been that guy. The offense, since bringing in Garrett Riley, hasn't really, changed all that much. There's still, short passes and heavy reliant on the run. Not a lot of downfield threats. And then also receivers have taken a step back from the Justin Ross days, the T. Higgins, the Sammys, the Nukes. Like, Clemson used to be a program where they're pumping out high caliber receivers. Like, you look back to that 2018 national championship game. Alabama's got a loaded secondary, but Clemson had a even more stacked receiver room, and they were able to take advantage of that. So those days are kind of going away. That it seems like they're not rattling off conference championships like they used to. Not competing for national titles like they used to. So it's a little bit of a split. Now they open with Georgia, so it's a very tough start for them. They opened with Georgia in 2021, and that was kind of a rock fight of a game. It came down to essentially like a pick six. So excited to see what that will look like this year. But overall, both sides of the fan base can agree on a few things. This is going to be a pretty young team with a lot of new faces and a lot of new leaders. They're pretty excited for some guys to grow and flourish in the system. Guys like Peter Woods, guys like T.J. Parker and Khalil Barnes, new guys like Bryant Wesco and T.J. Moore. Getting these guys up to speed, having these young guys contribute will be great for the culture. Everyone's excited about that. And now, even more recently, excited about the potential to maybe get out of the ACC, which I think has, kind of been a hindrance. Some programs be like, look, you don't want to go over to Clemson. They're in the ACC. We're getting the bags over here. Why go over to Clemson? So I think, being able to potentially get out of the ACC, and now they're suing for them, would be a good thing for them. And they're pretty excited. And both sides are pretty excited about that. Now, for the 2024 season, they have a pretty tough schedule, and it's pretty front loaded. Like, their first three games are Georgia, App State, and NC State. And then their fifth game is Florida State. So, right away, the last year, they lost to NC State and they lost to Florida State. So that was two immediate losses last year. And now we're adding Georgia and an out of conference game against App State, who's, that they're no slouch. So it's kind of a tough start. You're gonna be thrown in the mixer right away with Georgia, and then they also have Virginia Tech and Louisville on their schedule, who are both going to be contenders in the ACC. So they have a pretty tough schedule, and we'll see what the offense and the defense will be able to do. But it will be no cakewalk for the Clemson Tigers this year. Cade's development as a leader on and off the field will have a massive influence with how this season plays out. Is he going to be a guy that's going to make good reads, going to be able to throw the ball downfield and provide a threat? Is he going to be a leader in the locker room like he already is? Those things will determine a lot of how Clemson does this year. Both sides of the fan base are excited and yearning for that taste of success again. And that was in the not so distant past. And it could be right in front of them again. So with the strong recruiting class early in the 2025 cycle, they're a front runner for David Sanders and a light at the end of the tunnel to get out of the ACC. I think the future looks pretty hopeful, and generally the fans are excited. Some are just more loyal to Dabo and his ways, and some have shown a little bit of skepticism for what has been in the program. But nonetheless, both sides of the fan base are united and excited about the 2024 Clemson season.